NewGenGamers.com.
And so you can see the womanly touch here. You know, you got the cute graphics, really fun, and the demons. Not to take anything away from women, but they are cuter and more fun than guys.
I like the fact that you have like your main penguin, then you have like the other penguins that are demonic and possessed. I don't know what's going on with that.
Going into convulsions.
Getting chased by a seal. I think that's a seal.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so anyhow, the
Blue Sky Rangers, they weren't called the Blue Sky Rangers originally. They were just some people.
The application software programmers. I mean, that's all they are. They make the apps, the software. So it's interesting how they got the name of the Blue Sky Rangers. It was a TV Guide article on them, and the writer decided to deem them the Blue Sky Rangers after the meetings they had held that used something similar to that title. So that's a very, epic and very 80s title for the group of developers.
The Blue Sky Rangers.
Now, they weren't always in place. Originally, whenever Mattel started making games for the Intellivision, they were outside of the Mattel Intellivision division. But eventually,
they kept the cost of developing these games very low by getting people outside and not directly having them on the payroll, by offering college students credits to work and design video games. So they were just a loose group at the very beginning, just some people making some different games for them. And
then eventually they did move in-house. And I've mentioned the 5 original members, but I will give them some more love right now. Gabrielle Baum, Don Duglow, Rick Levine, Mike Minkoff, and John Shaw. And if I pronounced any of the names wrong, I'm sorry about that. But what's interesting is Levine and Minkoff came from the handheld market that was in place before the Intellivision came out. Mattel had been making a lot of handheld games, and eventually that's what led them to do this. Nice.
Which we happen to have one here, one of their very old handhelds. It's massive. It's about the size of a 1970s remote control.
Yeah.
Gigantic.
So maybe we'll add a little bit of video of that to this series too, so you can check it out.
Yeah, because it kind of has the keypad like the Intellivision controller, and a Zamboni.
Woo, Zamboni!
Anytime a Zamboni is involved, I am there.
Even if it is a giant demon red Zamboni, I'm down with that.
Okay, so
they started out small.
Yeah, so at that point they had the official Blue Sky Rangers team.
And eventually that team would grow to over 100 members, which is really nice by 1983. But sadly, a lot of them were laid off at the crash.
It was a quick growth and quick death. I mean, this all happened within a couple years.
And like I said, can you imagine, being on top of your game one second, and the next second you've lost so much money and you're out of a job? But that's the way it worked, and that's the way the crash took its toll.
That's what the crash was. They flooded the market. They, as you can see, going from 5 people working on games to 100 to what was the max that they had?
110, I believe.
110.
Yeah.
They spread themselves too thin. They put themselves on thin ice.
But one of the interesting things, and I've touched on this already, was the fact that Mattel hid who their developers were. They didn't tell their names, and they didn't give out their location because they didn't want Atari coming in and swooping these guys up. To me that sounds like a shady ordeal, but these men and women really love the Intellivision, as we've seen the longevity of it and the revival of it. So maybe that was for the better, and maybe they appreciated that.
I think it was smart on Mattel's part. I mean, this was, at this point, there really weren't game developers. There weren't people that had gone to college specifically for that. None of that stuff existed. They were all making it up as they went, and they were afraid of what talent they did have being taken. And it's corporate espionage that happens all the time in different businesses where they'll hire engineers and designers away from other companies, and they were afraid of that.
And what's really interesting is on this PS2 disc, we're playing another game on that, is they have a small documentary on that, and they talk about how loose and lax everything was going on there. It said it was a close-knit unity, as we've mentioned over and over again, and it kind of gets a little bit creepy because it says there are a bunch of singles and there was a lot of partying going on, and to me it almost seems like there were drunken orgies happening at the warehouse. But whatever, you're young, it's the 80s, why not?
It's the communal culture of video gaming. They were help birth what we're doing today.
Well, everybody, welcome back here. We're going to take a look at Buzz Bombers for the Intellivision console. Here, you play as a bee.
Prepare to start.
Actually, no, you play as a can of Raid.
It's the most uninspired character ever.
Maybe the person that designed this really hated bees.
I'm gonna say it's a guy in a bee suit. What is the hummingbird doing?
I don't think you want to shoot the hummingbird. Hummingbirds are usually good.
Usually, but I've met a few bad ones.
Success.
Okay, so continuing on with winding up the Intellivision story here. We've talked about the Blue Sky Rangers and how strongly they felt about the system, and how the VP of marketing came along from Mattel, or from the Intellivision line, and bought the company from Mattel, or bought the rights to the system, the games, everything Intellivision, and formed the company INTV. And that went on for 10 years. They continued to market and sell the system
until 1991,
fairly successfully, till the 16-bit systems came along, and then by that point most people had moved on past the Intellivision, and so all of a sudden the Intellivision was stuck in a bad place again.
It was stuck in Deathland, basically.
Deathland, like it was during the crash once again. So then after that, one of the original Intellivision programmers, Keith Robinson, went out and he decided to buy the rights from Valinsky, since INTV was really not really doing anything anymore. And he started this website called Intellivision Lives. And he found out that there was a lot of interest still in the console. Yeah, he found that he wasn't the only one that still cared about this machine, and found out that there was a whole culture of game players that still loved their old Intellivision. And I can say I remember playing one when I was a kid. I remember playing Astro Smash and having a great time with it.
Yeah,
and so all the gamers out there have a strong cultural following with this stuff, and it was brought back around almost full circle again and presented pretty much exclusively as a fan service.
Yeah, and he found out that people still wanted to play the games, so he found a way to get them re-released on things. It initially started as PC releases and an early PlayStation 1 compilation called Intellivision Classics, and he really wanted to get these titles out there for people who wanted to play them again. And by doing so, kind of has kept the Intellivision in people's minds for quite a while now.
Yeah, he had those first couple compilations, and then during the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era, they released the Intellivision Lives game, which was what we're playing right here.
Yeah, if it wasn't for this game, there would be a lot of these titles we wouldn't be able to cover.
Okay, kid, you want to play the real thing? Pick a game, any game. Every month on Play Cable, you get 20 great Intellivision games without cartridges. Over $500 worth. All on cable. And you can play any game you want, anytime you want. 24 hours a day. You just push a button and batter up. Space Battle? I wanted to play baseball.
Later, Mr. Mantle. Later.
Make one call and you'll play them all without cartridges. Why wait?
DJ Gamers.com